All right. All right. This is a strategy that we developed, a number of years ago when we took a lot of listings and they weren't selling, which is kind of what's happening now. We went through a period of time where if you took the listing, it sold right away with multiple offers. You guys remember that? Okay. Well, that's a kind of a thing of the past. And the market, look, I've been doing this for a long, long time. And the markets go up and the markets go down, and the listings sell and some listings don't sell, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just part of the game. You have to be prepared and you have to have a strategy for each marketplace. So write this down. Write this down. We're going to take some notes, and I'll send this out later. So if you want this, my suggestion is put your email in the chat box as we're talking right now, and I'll send it out to you guys a little bit later. First of all, you got the listing. Now here's the thing. You've been chasing this listing for a fairly decent amount of time. All right. You connect, chase, get the hold of people, whatever you have to do that. The client is used to hearing from you on a regular period of time. And now, boom, they give you the listing. Yay! Congratulations, you got the listing. And you go in, we get the listing. We're excited because we've got a listing that's hopefully saleable. And your client is excited because they've made a decision to hire what they perceive as a great agent that's going to get them their price and get it sold. Both of you are very happy. You go to work on getting the property into the MLS, getting the sign put up on the property. You call the people for the sign. You call up the concierge department. You get flyers. Everybody, you're starting all this creation, etc. But for almost every day, the client has heard from you in the last week or two or three. And now, for the next few days, maybe a week or two, they don't hear from you. And what are they thinking? Oh, geez, I made a mistake. I hired an agent and now I gave them the listing and they're not following up. I promise you this is what they're thinking. Okay, so this is the part of the strategy. This is where we start working on making sure our communication is correct. Because it used to be we'd take a listing, we'd get 5 offers, we'd accept an offer, and we'd go into escrow. Okay, that's not happening right now unless you're doing a great job of pricing them well. Melissa's smiling. Yes, that's happening to Melissa. Some of you have never experienced this kind of a marketplace. Some of you are fairly new in the business, meaning in the last 3, 4, 5 years, and you have only experienced a fast-paced, get it sold, crazy market. It doesn't matter well, the listing presentation used to be, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what do you want? They'd give you a number and you'd say, okay. That was the presentation. What do you want? Okay. The presentation isn't like that anymore, is it? No. We have to have this whole thing. Now, okay, so when you get the listing, this is where agents drop the ball. It's when you get the listing. So you need to make sure that you have a strategy for communication and a strategy to make sure that if it doesn't sell at the price you have it listed at, and right now the odds of that, almost 60-something% of all listings are getting price reductions. 60-something% of all the listings we take are getting price reductions before they sell. Okay, that number may be going up as we speak, but that was the last number I saw. All right, but the client doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes, so we need to let them know what's going on. So when you take the listing, I want you to Pre-address 5 to 6 envelopes. Pre-address 5 to 6 envelopes. And every time you do an activity on the house, you're going to send them a snail mail copy of the activity. And you're also going to send them an email of the digital activity format. So what's the first thing you generally do is get the property in the MLS and get it posted. Everybody with me? At the same time, you're calling up the sign. At the same time, you're sending everything out to get the flyers created, etc. Every activity you make a copy of and send to your client. So every day, the client should be getting an email or a snail mail from you. Get it? And this doesn't really cost you anything but a stamp. And they're getting something on a regular basis. Now, don't get so efficient where you put 4 or 5 things in one envelope and send it. That's not the idea. The idea is to send something on a regular basis where they're getting it. All right? Get that taken care of. You guys with me so far? Questions on that?
We're with you.
Sorry?
We're with you.
Oh, thank you. Very good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Miguel. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
We send a video. We do open houses also.
I think it's a great idea. That's not actually one of the things I have included here. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
But think about it. You get the listing taken care of. You get it into the MLS. You make sure that when you really read the MLS and make sure it's accurate, because you're now sending it immediately to the client. It's one of the first things they're going to get a copy of from you, of the activities that you're working on. If you have names misspelled, if you have 3 bedrooms and it's really 4, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Take a look at it.
Thank
Now,
you.
if you work for our company, we have a thing that we do that I don't know that everybody knows. And that is when you take a listing, you send it to a department in the company and they start looking up all of the websites that it's going to be listed on. And within 3-4 days, they resend you a copy of all the 15, 20, 25. James, you're getting that now, right?
No.
Okay, well, make
Now
sure
I
you
will,
get it.
yes.
Make
I'm
sure you
not
get it.
getting neither.
Okay, well,
Can
Okay.
you repeat that, Neil? Sorry, just the last.
okay. So a service that the company provides is to make sure we are getting copies of all the listings. We have created a service that somebody looks for between 15 and 20 websites, copies the link, and then sends you a page. Okay? So if you're not getting it, make sure you check with Jesse or Robert or your admin people, et cetera, okay?
Hi, Neil. It's Vanessa. So it's when you sent it to Century 21 Masters listing. I think it's a certain email, right? And they do that? Yeah,
Correct.
because I think I get that, but good to know. That way I can send it to the
Well,
clients.
make sure if you're not doing it, you're, in my opinion, hurting yourselves. Melissa, are you doing that?
I don't think I get anything. So I have to email someone in order for them to send it to me. They won't just automatically send it.
No.
Okay, so no, I need to do that.
It's part
just
of
put it on my
our
list.
check and balance system to make sure we get the copy of the listings that you're taking.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a service we provide for those of you that are doing your job, letting us know what's listed. Okay, don't assume the MLS is doing it right. I have seen situations where the MLS hasn't done it right. Okay? So make sure you get copies of that. And every time you do get a copy of it, you send it to the client. But here's a caveat. Make sure that you go through most of the websites and make sure they're accurate.
Okay.
Okay? Take a minute, double check it. Because you don't want it out in the world. It's very difficult. Once you get it populated in websites, it's very difficult to make changes. All
Okay.
right? I don't know if you've tried
Yep,
that
I'll ask.
before. So
I'll
get
try
it right up front.
Okay.
Get it right up front. Okay. So, but every time you get something, so think about this. You took the listing, you got it in the MLS, you sent them an email and you sent them a snail mail. Then 2-3 days later, you get this information from the company and you send them that in an email and a snail mail. In between, you get a flyer from the concierge department and you double check that to make sure it's accurate and you fold it up, send it to the client and send them an email. Okay, now we're starting to get all of this stuff going on. There's one more thing that you have to do. Every time you send the client a copy of something in the mail, you make a copy of it and start creating a file of all the items that you're doing. This is going to be something used when we go to the price reduction, okay? But you start accumulating it in the beginning. It's no big deal. Doesn't cost you any money. It's just part of your system, okay? Going forward right now, it has to be part of your system. All right, questions so far? I like the video for the open house. So if you do an open house, make sure you maybe take a picture or two. No big deal. It doesn't have to be a production. But you want to have it so that it's in your file and the file's stacking up of things that you've done to market their home for sale. Because there's going to be a question, I'll give you the precursor to it right now. When you go to them for a price reduction, 99% of the time, they're going to say to you, what have you done for me? What have you done to get this home sold? You don't want to have that question. I'm going to walk you through how to avoid getting that question. All right. So, 5 to 6 envelopes. You're going to use those to send tangible updates. You're going to make sure it gets into the MLS. You're going to make sure you make corrections. You're going to make an extra copy. We talked about the online exposure after 3 to 5 days. Print the online version of the listing. Make sure that you have that copy. James, you had your hand up.
Neil, we have a client right now that is jumping the gun on us and telling us, I know you're doing everything you can do. You don't need to tell me, you don't need to tell me that. I know it's all being done. So he's trying to cut us off at the pass because this is the week we were going to ask for a price reduction.
Okay. We'll talk about that in a bit. Okay. But always do what I'm talking about. We have clients that do different things. I would say, James, there's a really good chance that you don't have a client with a strong motivation. What he's doing is he knows a price reduction request is coming. And he's telling you, don't worry. Because he's not, his motivation level is on a 1 through 10, 10 being the highest. He's probably at a 4 or 5. Got it? Unless your clients are 7, 8, 9, you don't have a motivated client. So do your judging, okay? See what you got. I'm not saying that.
Neil, what's 7, 8, 9?
7, 8, 9, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being pathetic, no motivation at all, 0, 0, 0, 10 being highest motivation, you know, he'll jump off the cliff to get his home sold. Got it?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so 7, 8, 9 is less than 10. I'm being cute.
LOL.
All right,
Hey, I
David,
have a question.
sure.
Does an unrealistic price that they want, does that coincide with the motivation?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, absolutely. All right. Doesn't mean you don't take the listing. That's a whole nother subject right now. Okay. But I've been hammering everyone motivation, motivation, motivation. If you don't know the motivation, I mean, really know the motivation, you probably don't have a saleable listing. Fair enough? Loopy, you had a question?
Have you ever thought of sending the analytics from the RPR? I set it up for my client for the listing, and
Loopy, 100%. I think it's a great idea. The other thing on that subject, thank you, is so let me back up. Loopy, anything that you have that I'm not talking about, but you think is informational, make a copy, send it to the client on a regular basis. The same thing goes for Golden Ruler. Everybody knows about Golden Ruler, right?
Yes,
Everybody?
yes, true.
Okay, most of you, if you're not using Golden Ruler, you're missing a great tool that Century 21 has, because it lets the client know on an automatic basis, or you can print it out, how many people have visited the website of visited the property in the different websites. Okay. So it doesn't give you every website, but it gives you the top 4, 5, or 6. And it's a great tool of what's going on. It takes the place of, in the past, we used to collect the business cards on a weekly basis of all the agents that showed the property. And then we would call those agents and find out what they thought of the property. Now, if you're still doing that, that's a great thing. We haven't had to do that in the recent past because the properties have been selling much faster, but that's not happening today. So if you're asking the sellers to keep a list of cards or a stack of cards, and then you pick those cards up, but don't ask them to keep it and not ask them for those cards, because they're sitting there keeping that stack and they want to know what's going on. What did that agent think about? Now, what they're going to do if you get an aggressive seller is they're going to call the agent and ask the seller or the agent what their clients thought of the property. Do you want them to do that?
No.
In case you don't know the answer, that's a hard no. Get those damn cards out of the house. Okay, get those cards out of the house. So go by, take a look, see what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Any advertising that you're doing, flyers, postcards, online advertisements. If you're advertising the property online, take a picture of it, print the picture out, mail that to them. Now, so for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, you've got communications covered. That's going to be helpful. Everybody with me on that? And you're stacking up everything you've done. If you count, and everybody should be, you check off the calls that you make, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 30 calls, whatever it is. And you write down the date, etc. You circle it. Maybe you circle where you got a lead or something else. Put a few of those copies in your packet. You can send it to your client if you want to, but those are great for when we go talk about the price reduction. Okay. Before I go into price reduction, any questions on the first part here? All right, let's talk about the price reduction. If a price reduction is needed, and you're going to know about it in really the first week or two, whether or not you're getting activity. So a good rule of thumb is if you're getting showings, but you're not getting offers, you're probably 5% overpriced. Okay? It's not science, it's just kind of a rule of thumb. If you're not getting any showings, you're probably 10% overpriced. So 5% on a $500,000 house is $25,000. 5% on a $500,000 house is $25,000. 10% is $50,000. My client's never going to go for $50,000. I know you're going through that right now. Well, if you're not getting any showings and they are motivated, you need to have this conversation. So price reduction should be done in person. Write that down. Price reduction should be done in person. Why? Because it's like getting a brand new listing. If you do your job correctly, you'll get it priced where it should be, and you'll be on your way. A. B. Don't take a wimpy price reduction. If you need 50,000 and they're giving you 5 or 10, say, I appreciate what you're doing, but that's not going to get the job done. So let's hold on to that $10,000 for now, and we'll come back to it. Well, you said we need a price reduction. Yeah, but 10,000 isn't going to cut it. Okay? And be straight with them. You've got nothing if you're at least 10% off. So be honest. All right? Now, here's how you handle the price reduction. A, you be in person. And you set the appointment. You know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I'd like to come by, talk about the market, talk about what's going on. Well, I don't want to talk about a price reduction. I understand. But I told you that I would meet with you every 2 weeks to go over what's going on in the marketplace, et cetera, and what we've done. I need that time. If they push you off, they're probably avoiding you because they know it needs a price reduction and they're not that motivated. Okay, well, that's an indicator. But let's assume that you have somebody that is motivated. They're a 7, 8, 9, but we're not getting our offers. You sit down with them and you start the first questions you ask them. This is not a telling. This is questions. Review the motivation. When we listed this house, you said you were moving to Chicago. Is that still what you're doing? Okay. Has the time frame changed at all? Has anything changed at all? Ask them those questions. We'll go through it when we're done. Why? Okay. And make sure that you know what's going on with their motivation, their time frame, has anything changed, etc. Number one. Number two, don't assume they've seen all the stuff you've sent them. Make sure that you start going through it. Well, what I'd like to do, Mr. and Miss Jones, this is the second thing you do, is I'd like to walk you through all the activities that we've done to try and generate offers and buyers for the property. And you open up this folder. Hopefully it's jam-packed with goodies. Okay, you open up the folder and then you start turning over. Here's the listing. Here's the websites. Here's copies of the websites. Here's where I've door knocked properties. Here's where I've phone canvassed properties, etc. This is the open house 1. This is open house 2. This is open house 3, etc., etc., etc. You keep opening and opening, giving them, flood them with all this information. Next, show them comps of what's going on in the marketplace. Ask for the price reduction in that order. And then shut up. Be quiet. And Mr. and Mrs. Jones, based on what's going on in the marketplace, we need a $50,000 price reduction, and then be quiet. You guys with me? Melissa's cringing over here.
Neil, question.
Go ahead.
In the circumstance that So let's say that they throw a tantrum over any idea of a price reduction. Should we pretty much
Well,
part
remember, we're
ways,
going
or-
back to motivation. When you first start, you go to motivation. Has the motivation changed? By the way, they may have told you originally the motivation was that they're in financial trouble and they need to sell this house and get out from under the payments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Things happen in a week or two or three. A great aunt could pass away, could leave them a couple $100,000, and the pain is gone. But they're embarrassed to tell you that, you know, you're doing all this work and their motivation is different. Get it? You guys with me on this? Okay. Go ahead.
Should we see it through to the end of the contract, even if they don't allow the price reduction?
No.
Okay.
No. How much of a pain in the tush are they being? You know, if you have to show the property every single time, there's a good chance you shouldn't have taken the listing. Or if you took the listing because you thought it was going to sell quickly and it hasn't, because you missed on the price, then you know, then you go back in. There's another part of the script, which is, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we have three choices. You either drop the property by 10%, you pay more commission to the buyer's agent, or you take the listing back. Which would you prefer? Okay, but you have to be prepared for what's going on here. That's why we want to set it up this way. Is everybody with me on this? The odds of you getting a good price reduction doing it this way are tremendous. If you don't have a motivated client and you do it this way, you can see that they're not going to care. And if they don't care, why are you working with a listing that isn't going to sell? The longer this, I've been in markets, and we're moving toward this, where you have to take 10 listings to get 2 sales. I've been in those markets. We have 10 listings in inventory and we only have 2 sales a month. And they're all really priced well, not by your price, but by you bringing me the listing and convincing me it's priced well. If I think it's priced well, then it probably is priced well. You thinking it's priced well may not be the truth. Okay, so if you've got property that you're concerned about, bring it to me, bring me the comps and sell me on the price. Okay, you'll find that you're probably still high. Okay, that's the strategy that I would recommend, and I would put this in play immediately. Okay, questions? Go ahead, Mary.
I missed when you said something about if there's no showings, there's a specific percentage overpriced.
If there's showings but no offers, it's 5% overpriced usually. If there's no showings, it's at least, not minimum, or minimum, but not the number, at least 10% overpriced. Because you could be $300,000 overpriced, you know, on a $1 million piece of property, and that you need a 30% reduction. Get it?
Okay, so if I drop the price at 10% and I still don't get showings, it's still overpriced, correct? Gotcha.
Exactly. Good question. Other questions? All right, does everybody see how this could help in the process? You're connecting with the client still immediately, which is invaluable and very important, because as you start to lose trust in the mind of the seller, they're not going to buy a price reduction. Okay? They're not going to buy continuing working with you. They want to fire you. Now we're going to see more and more of that. We haven't seen a lot of that right now. But a lot of agents are going to get fired because they don't know how to stay in touch and communicate with their listings. And some of you, Melissa, how many listings do you have in inventory right now?
I have 3 right now, one coming up today and then 2 other ones that have been sitting about 23 days, 24 days.
Yeah, it's a lot, right?
Yep.
Compared to what you've had in the past,
Right.
right?
And they
Okay.
need price reductions.
And they all, okay, well, start working on this list.
I got one to do a price reduction and I got it in escrow right away. So I got a big price reduction. I got it in escrow right away, like $150,000 price reduction.
I'm
Or an
telling
escrow.
you that
Yeah.
you guys get that kind of stuff and great things are going to happen, right? Miguel, why are you smiling? Good job. All right. Okay.
Neil,
Go ahead, Lupe.
the $150,000 reduction.
Go ahead.
I find that kind of odd. That's a huge reduction. Was this $1 million property or $2 million property, Melissa?
This was an expired listing that the other agent took for 6 months at 1.3. It was never worth 1.3 in a million years, even in COVID. So she had inflated them up to think that it was 1.3. It expired. I came in with my comps that were 750 to 800,000. They said your numbers are wrong. Let's go 950. I said I think 950 is still high, but let's see what happens. And every week I do a video valuation for them with the comps and kind of let them know, don't shoot the messenger. This is what we're looking at. Still going back to my numbers. I received a $75,000 reduction and then a $95,000 reduction down to 780, which is where we should have been anyway. And we got an offer on it and got it into escrow. So I took the overpriced listing basically at 950.
Wow.
I knew it was too high.
Good job, Melissa. Good job.
Yeah. So that's why.
No, stuff like that happens all the time. It's excellent. So that's what we need to be working on. Questions? All right. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah. Sure.
Melissa, you said you did a video. So instead of calling them every Wednesday, you do a video
Yeah. So
update of the market?
I do a bomb video with a shared screen, just with a short CMA, and I walk them through what's going on in the market every week, showing, look, this is what's pending. Look, this house is just like yours. It went pending at 750. Here's what's going on in the market, and then I do, show them the CMA again on my numbers. This is where we are. And then that way it kind of pads it for then being able to talk to them. And when I did that with that listing, each week in a row, the wife, who was usually quiet, she chimed in and called and said, Melissa? I said, yes. She said, this is Sandy. I was waiting to get yelled at. And she said, what if we go $75,000 less? And she did both price reductions actually on her own with those 2 videos, interestingly enough. These were very stubborn people. Remember, they thought it was worth 1.3. So yeah, I do that with Bomb.
Awesome.
So
Thank
Melissa,
you.
thank you. What Martin didn't ask is, would you mind sharing that with the group?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
100%.
All right, we'll find a place for it and then
okay.
And share it with the group.
Thank you, Neil. I didn't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll totally share.
Yeah, great, perfect. All right, good stuff, great stuff. I mean, I had all kinds of items, and you guys have added a couple of items, so this is really fantastic. I appreciate it, and it's a strategy. Just going in with a script, you'll be partially armed. With going in with this strategy, I think you're going to be able to get the properties listed at the prices you want. And if you don't, fire the client. Life is too short, okay? Especially if they're driving you nuts. All right. Put your goals in the script in the chat box. How many calls you're going to make. If you want to, you could, like in Melissa's case, she's going to write down the 3 properties she wants to reduce today and go through the procedure to put everything together. Then make sure that you know what's going on in the marketplace, and you've got to learn what's happening. One of the ways you learn what's happening in the marketplace is previewing properties. If you think I stopped recommending you preview property, you'd be wrong, okay? And the third thing is, when the body's in motion, the mind will follow. Body's in motion, mind will follow. I am a great salesperson.
I am a great salesperson. I'm the right agent.
Let's go.
I got this.
Great
I can do
salesperson.
this.
You know,
Yes.
All right, everybody. Fantastic.